My husband and I have 3 kids, a baby, a toddler, and young grammar school age. My husband has a high-profile job, which means he's gone often. I work a regular 9 to 5. We originally used daycare for our oldest, but my middle was born right when the global issue began, so we hired a nanny. She originally worked when I did, but by the time the baby came around, I was very overwhelmed, doing baths and bedtime on my own, on top of developing postpartum depression. After a breakdown, we spoke with the nanny, and she agreed to adjust her hours, so she's helping me with dinner, bath, and bed. We've gotten close over the past 6 months doing this. In many ways, she's become like a third parent to the kids. She's so good with them. We've created a routine that works well. I tend to the baby during bath and bed. She handles the older 2. It's a nice rhythm, and my mental health has improved. My husband isn't traveling all the time, but most nights, he isn't even home for dinner and bed. He'll help me on weekends when he's home, but because he's gone so often, he's reluctant to be firm with the kids. There are times he's come home when our nanny's there. He tries to help her with bath and bed, but allows the boys to roughhouse, lets them break the routine, and it seriously throws them off and delays bedtime. My nanny shared with me she feels awkward. She doesn't want to undermine her employer, but it makes her job harder. But my husband also doesn't want her to go home when he arrives, as he says he can't handle it alone. I told him that if that's the case, he must defer to the nanny and follow her lead. She knows our boys best, and she has to deal with the aftermath when they don't listen and they give her a hard time. My husband feels that she's just an employee and he's the dad. His salary does pay for her. However, I don't feel this is fair to her. I told him he follows her lead for bed and bath, or he doesn't help at all. He told me I was allowing the nanny to take over and replace him. Am I the idiot? Edit. The roughhousing is to the point where they get hurt and or create hazards for everyone in the household. The tub isn't playtime. Yes, there are toys, but they just can't wrestle and jump on each other or try to jump in and out of the tub. It's a safety issue. The other night, my middle son busted his lip because my husband was letting him jump up and down in the tub. You are the idiot. Dad supports all of y'all and also doesn't get to see his kids often. And you didn't make it seem like it was a choice, but more of a maintenance of lifestyle. Dad is paying her salary. And while yes, nanny should be treated as a member of the family, the dad should be able to have fun with his kids. Yeah, it's not ideal, and dad should 100% not make this an all-the-time thing. But when your kids are grown, they'll value these memories with their father. Once a week or so, especially on weekends, of breaking bedtime is nothing compared to your kid's happiness. Not the idiot. Your husband doesn't want a parent. Instead, your husband wants to be fun-time uncle who comes in, rolls everyone up, dishes out sweets, makes sure they don't make their bedtimes, and then dips out when the children start having unpleasant reactions to the disruption. I'm feeling salty on OP's behalf. My husband feels that she's just an employee and he's the dad. Wow. Just wow. Nannies are employees, but they straddle a unique line because a good nanny is part of the children's family. By his scale, a doctor is also an employee, and he would disregard the doctor's instructions because he knew better? He's trying to Disney dad his way out of his guilt over being a mainly absent parent. Instead, he needs to actually take responsibility for putting the kids to bed if he wants to disrupt the schedule. Exactly. This is the crux of your situation. Horseplay and roughhousing are very important for your children's development. If dad wants to take over and play hee-haw, he can do that well. That's great. But he can't take over, create a mess, and then have the nanny come to put the fire out. If the nanny takes care of business, we play by her rules. If dad is taking care of business, then we can play by his. My dad died when I was 7, and my mom remarried when I was 9. My mom's husband has a daughter the same age as me, Carrie. Carrie's mom is a crappy person. And last year, my stepdad learned that his ex stole from Carrie and took all the money my stepdad had saved for Carrie's college. Carrie was upset because she really wanted to go to college, and what she wanted to do meant 8 years in college. She wanted as much help as possible, but now it's all gone. They've been talking about it a lot, and my stepdad tried to find a way to get more money, since even though he's pressed charges against his ex, the money is long gone, and there's no way to get it back. My mom asked me if I'd be willing to share the money my dad left me for college with Carrie, and she told me how good of a sister I would be to help her after being betrayed by her mom, that I didn't need to, but it would mean so much to everyone. I told her I didn't want to share the money with Carrie. Mom said okay, but then wanted to know why. I didn't tell her the whole truth initially and told her I just wanted to keep the money for myself since it was saved by Dad and what he wanted for my future. But she didn't really buy that from me, and a week or two later, she asked me again. So I told her the truth, that Carrie and I are not close. We're not sisters, and I don't want to help someone in such a huge way when I really don't care about them or even care if they're in my life. Mom told me she was surprised I felt that way. Then I pointed out, she and her husband have known for years. They used to point out how we never interacted like siblings, and she told me she figured we still loved each other somehow. I told her I didn't anyway. Mom then told me I was wrong to refuse to help for that reason. Whether I like it or not, we are siblings and family, and Carrie deserves to have this. She told me I was being very selfish, and she hoped my dad would be angry at me for not embracing Carrie as a sister, despite our issues, and not helping her. Then she told her husband what I said, and he was angry with me. Am I the idiot? You are not the idiot, and please make sure they can't get a hold of that money. Your dad wanted that for you, no one else. Carrie has her own father to provide for her. Your mother's out of line. Carrie's your stepsister. You can acknowledge her as a sibling, but that doesn't mean you need to like her, love her, or give her your father's money. Right. That's not money your dad left for your mother's children's college. It's money your dad left for you. You have no obligation here. I would be angry if I provided for my child's future and they gave it away, but I wouldn't be angry that they used what I'd provided for them. I don't think your dad would be angry at you, and I think it was manipulative of your mom to suggest that he would. Exactly. This is the job of Carrie's dad and OP's mom to fix, since mom is so invested in this. No more vacations, no more eating out, brown bag their lunches, move to a studio apartment in a cheap neighborhood, sell the house, take the bus, sell their cars, sell any other toys, boat, whatever. No more cable TV, etc. Oh, and liquidate all other savings, assets, etc. until such time as Carrie's money is recovered. If they haven't done all this, asking OP to sacrifice is gross and wrong. If they've done all this, asking is not necessarily wrong, but they still need to accept a no without comment or consequence. Asking OP to sacrifice before the parents have done so is disgusting. Over the last 3 years, I worked my butt off to lose 120 pounds, and I look and feel amazing. I've been obese for almost my whole childhood and adulthood, and it feels almost like life has finally begun. I posted my before and after on Facebook because I'm a dinosaur at heart, and I got a message shortly after from Len, my friend's girlfriend. Len is over 300 pounds, which, I don't recommend it, but if that's your choice, then whatever. She also claims that she's an atypical anorexic who gains weight because she only eats 500 calories a day. That is blatantly not true, but not my circus, not my monkeys. Len said that it was very inappropriate to post a weight loss before and after without a warning because it could cause a relapse in people with EDs, and that if I absolutely had to post it, I should make it an album with a black cover photo and a warning so that people would have to click through to see the actual photo. The message also contained a long and unscientific rant about my personal choices that are not super relevant here, but didn't do much to get me in the mood to make these accommodations. So I told her that I was going to go ahead and post whatever I wanted on my personal Facebook. If she didn't like seeing it, she should probably unfollow me. I guess that was a declaration of war because she absolutely blew up at me and dragged her girlfriend / my friend into the mix, along with some other mutual friends. And it's a big chaos of, it's no big deal to just hide the photo, me, versus it's no big deal to just unfollow her, Lynn. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Other people's triggers aren't your problem. It's your profile. You're allowed to celebrate your achievements. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel her hatred towards your post is actually an act of jealousy. You probably don't want to find out. I wouldn't waste another second on this. Unfriend her, block her, and move on. And if you get questioned on why you blocked her, say you didn't want to be responsible for triggering her any further. Great job on dedicating yourself and not placing it on other people. Agree. She's delusional and is just looking for something to argue about. You can't show that you're doing better than me. Also, I eat the same amount of calories as a toddler, and the fat just gets to me through air. I bet she eats 500 calories and drinks 3,500. Or don't count the sauces. In all seriousness, a lot of people discount how much they drink and the calories it comes with. A couple of beers at night, a sweet iced tea for lunch, an OJ, a milk for breakfast. Lots of people see that as normal, but it's literally like 600 to 800 calories extra, an entire mega cookie, or an entire meal every single day. My husband and I meet with a group of friends, 8 people total, every Friday. We choose a brewery, meet there for a couple of beers, and play games. Cards Against Humanity, Uno, Trivial Pursuit. Just a fun night with friends, and an all-around good time. We're all in our 30s and 40s. Some of us have small kids. Others, like us, are empty nesters. It's an adult-only thing, so the friends in the group with the small kids get babysitters so we can have adult time. We went to the brewery last week, about an hour and a half drive for 4 out of the 8 of us that we've wanted to try for almost a year. My husband and I got there first and found a large picnic-style table close to the bar while we waited for our group to get there. It was 2 large picnic tables side by side, and you could easily fit our group on one table and another large group on the other. While waiting, a woman approached us and asked if she and her group could take the other side of one of the tables. Of course, we told her yes, and she signaled for a friend's partner. He came to the table, and he held an infant carrier and was holding a toddler's hand. I immediately looked at my husband and said, it would have been nice of her to mention that they had kids with them. A few minutes after they sat down, the rest of their group, 6 people in total, came to the table, and each of them had kids with them. One of the kids, who was a toddler, was screaming to be put down and immediately started running when they did. I was pretty upset and told the woman that it was really not cool of her to not even mention that their entire group had small children and that there were plenty of other tables that would have accommodated them in the tap room. They ended up moving tables, but not after the friend and partner of the first woman said it was not cool of me to make them move tables. My husband said that I was out of line, and when we told this to our friends, they were split, with half of them agreeing that it wasn't okay for them to not say anything about the kids, and the others saying there's no rule against having kids in the tap room, so I should have just let it go. So am I the idiot for calling out a woman at the brewery? Edit. This was not a restaurant. This was an actual brewery/tap room that brews and serves craft beers. Where I live, they're forbidden by state law to serve food of any kind. The only non-alcoholic drink is water. I get it. I don't want to deal with crying and screaming children, but she was under no obligation to tell you they had kids. You're in public. You're going to have to assume people have children, and they're going to be around you. You could also have up and moved as well the minute you saw that they had kids, instead of being rude. Sorry, but you are the idiot. Yeah, why didn't you just move tables yourself after her whole group showed up? If there were other tables that would accommodate her group, There were certainly tables that would accommodate your group. And at this point, it was just the two of you. So would it have not been less hassle for you to move rather than make that whole group move? Yeah, but not everyone's expecting children at a brewery, especially when your own group gets babysitters, specifically not to have children around. OP is not the idiot. It's a brewery where the primary thing that is served is beer. It's absurd that entitled parents have decided that breweries are acceptable for kids. The same parents would be crucified if they brought kids into a bar whose primary thing being served is alcohol. I don't understand why it suddenly became acceptable to have kids around intoxicated adults. Makes no sense. I, 26 male, have been dating Ella, 22 female, for 2 months now. My family's from an Asian background, so most of the food I cook for myself includes peanuts and other nuts because it's an important ingredient in my cultural dishes. I live alone, so I just make my own food for myself, but because of Ella's allergy, I don't make food with peanuts in them when I know I'm also cooking for her. Her allergy is only reactive if she ingests a good amount of the actual nut and is unaffected by smell, airborne, and small traces of cross-contamination. Recently, I made a dish that contains heavy usage of nuts blended into the curry, so you can't see that they're there, and I left the leftovers in my fridge. Ella came over while I was in the shower. During that time, she apparently went into my fridge, helped herself to a big portion of the curry, and immediately started having an allergic reaction. Luckily, she had her EpiPen and was okay after a few minutes. Still, she absolutely went off on me and kept accusing me of causing her harm. I felt extremely guilty that she had a bad allergic reaction to my food. I apologized profusely and offered to take her to the hospital, but she was just screaming at me the whole time. Finally, she said that if I really cared about her, I should have labeled all of my food for her and let her know ahead of time exactly what in the fridge had nuts. I understand that this is extremely scary and important for her health, but at the same time, she, 1, never asked me to label things before, 2, went into my fridge and helped herself to my food without even asking me, 3, got mad at me for cooking my cultural dishes at all because they have her allergen in them. I told her that in the future, I'll try to put a sticky note on the containers that have nuts in the food so this doesn't happen again, but that she also can't blame me for her allergic reaction when she ate my food without even asking me if she could or what was in it. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She's responsible for not eating a dish if she doesn't know what's in it. You don't need to label your food or change your cooking process. She just needs to ask you if something has nuts before eating it. Also, it's kind of a red flag that she's assuming all the food in your home would be peanut-free when you've only been dating for 2 months. As someone with major allergies, it's my responsibility and mine alone to ensure the food I eat doesn't cause me to go into a crisis. WTF was she thinking? Also, why the blowout to you? She's being careless with her health and a significant idiot to you. Run for the hills, OP. That witch sounds unhinged, entitled, and manipulative. Dude, spoiler alert, she thinks the world revolves around her. Do you want to keep up with this for a moment longer? Let alone a lifetime of putting sticky notes on anything you enjoy eating? It's your apartment, your fridge, your food. She should accept that your own personal space is your personal space. That means you can strip naked, lather yourself with chocolate fudge, roll around in peanuts, and call yourself a Sunday if it pleases you. The more significant issue is she doesn't even live there, and it's unrealistic to expect you to always think of her in your home. It's her personal responsibility to manage her own allergy. My husband, Rome, 26, and I, 32 female, have been married for 2 years. We dated for about a year before that. I had never been in a relationship before him. I grew up as the only child in a strict household prioritizing education. My parents said that I could get into a relationship after I finished school and they would find a husband for me. I was emotionally sheltered. I graduated high school, college, and even grad school without any romantic experience. Suddenly, I was 29 with no experience and no marriage prospects. I met Rome through friends. I found him cute, charming, funny, goofy, and sweet. We dated for a year before getting engaged. We had a long-distance relationship, global issue, until we got married. About a year ago, I woke up feeling like I made a huge mistake. Long story short, Rome has never spent much time with me, preferring time with friends, and he loves spending my money. He stopped working too. I talked with my friends. They admitted that they had their suspicions about his motivations, but I seemed so happy they wanted to support me. My parents were thrilled to see me married. I didn't want a divorce. I thought we could live our separate lives just like normal. It worked well until the past couple of months. Rome has become very nosy about me and my life. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I came across a few of my childhood photos on his laptop I had borrowed. My dad admitted to sending them to Rome. I asked my parents not to send that stuff to him before asking me. I told Rome to ask me for this directly next time. However, my parents still have been sending stuff to Rome without telling me at all. Most recently, he printed out a copy of my master's thesis. I asked him where he got it, and he said, "My dad." I was upset with my father for sending my stuff to Rome without telling me, as I specifically asked. I told my mom and dad never to let Rome have access to my stuff again, or I would stop sending them fund money now that they're retired. My dad yelled at me for an hour after I made that ultimatum. My parents think I've become a shameless daughter, but my friends are split. Some say I shouldn't have done it. Others are on my side. Am I the idiot? Edit. We are from the same culture. It looks down on divorce. Rome has a lot more freedom than I did, as he's male and has a more relaxed family. Jesus, lady, you're so far in the sunken place, I don't know what to say. You've made yourself a cash cow for people who don't respect or love you. You are allowed to find happiness. You're being such an idiot to yourself. I didn't want a divorce. Girl, you should. I'm so angry at your parents for raising you in this way. You don't have to catch him doing anything wrong to want a divorce. You don't like or trust this guy. He's using you. At the moment, it's hard to see past this, but you don't deserve this crud. Get a good lawyer. You are not the idiot, but you need a divorce and a lot of therapy. This is the answer. This woman needs a divorce from both this man and her idiot parents. What are they doing sending these photos and her thesis to him? Who actually does that without their child's permission? OP, what do you mean by "I thought we could live our lives separately, like normal"? Get a divorce. You don't get to have it both ways by refusing to divorce him and then being angry that people still treat him like a part of your family. Suck it up. Admit you made a mistake and fix it. Honey, you seriously need to reconsider your views on divorce. There's no shame in doing so if you need to. Your parents very specifically did something you asked them not to. You have every right to stop sending them money after they do that. Your father just came across one of the basic truths of life. Where there's support, there's control. They were dependent on the money you were sending them. This gives you a measure of control over their lives, for better or worse. And they're not entitled to your money. Stand your ground on your ultimatum and go low contact with your parents. I, 18 female, have been dating a guy, 21, on and off for around a year, but we made it official 3 months ago and have been monogamous ever since. I've been enjoying my time with him because he's sweet, interesting, and cares about me. But he's mad at me now because I rejected his very expensive and nice gift. Basically, last night, we were out for dinner, and he told me that he had a surprise for me. He pulls out a small jewelry box and shows me a pearl necklace inside. My heart literally dropped. I mean, it was gorgeous, but my first thought was, this must have been a fortune. He explained to me that it was his mom's before she passed away and that his dad gave it to her. I almost cried. I mean, the whole thing was so sweet and meaningful, but I paused and realized that it wasn't appropriate. I panicked momentarily because I didn't want to be rude. I just let him down easily. Of course, I thanked him first and told him it meant a lot, but I told him that since we've only officially been together for 3 months, and since this is such a beautiful and meaningful piece of jewelry that's probably very expensive, I wouldn't feel right taking it. I could lose it or break it, and I'd never forgive myself. He looked very hurt and put it away. I felt bad, but he seemed fine the rest of the night. This morning, I woke up to a text from him that was pretty detailed. He explained that my rejecting it made him feel unwanted and like I was rejecting him, not just the necklace. I haven't responded, but I'm extremely confused. I mean, yes, I like him and I dig him, but we're not so serious yet that I can accept a very expensive and rich backstory piece of jewelry, right? I feel guilty and do not know how to respond to him. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You guys are a new couple. You don't even know each other yet, or if this relationship is even going to develop. Yet he's giving you his late mother's jewelry? To be honest, he sounds weird. He's overly attached after basically no time, and his reaction to this whole thing stinks of emotional immaturity. Obviously, it's up to you if you want to continue, but I'd urge you to reconsider. You can expect some epic mood swings, I think. Yep, this was my first thought too. I think you need to pump the brakes on this relationship a bit. His giving you this gift in the first place was inappropriate. Too much too soon. However, the bigger problem is his response to your honest feelings and feedback about the gift. He wants you to wear what is essentially a family heirloom, but he doesn't want you to be honest about your feelings if they're at odds with his. At best, he's emotionally immature, but there's also a chance that he's being purposefully emotionally manipulative. Yeah, girl, the gift was premature, for sure, but I'd say the bigger issue was his follow-up. He felt as if you did him wrong, which is crazy, and he wanted you to feel bad about it, which is worse. He has a very specific idea of what your relationship should be, and he gets angry when you don't follow the script. This is not a good sign. You're not an actor. You're not a character in a video game with levels to be unlocked through specific actions. So my 26 girlfriend and I, male 26, have been dating for a little over 2 years. We both graduated from the same program and held the same job position at different companies. We initially started dating in the program, and since then, we've grown to love each other deeply. This started about 6 months ago when she came home one day and told me she quit her job and wanted to instead invest in growing her business, which is a social media account based around beauty stuff. She had mentioned this is a possibility before, but I said it didn't seem like a good decision because we both have well-paying jobs and we need to save as much as possible now to pay off our student loans and to have money if we want to get married soon, have kids, etc. Well, she came home that day and said if I didn't want to support her and believe in her, then I could just leave the relationship. I didn't want to lose her, so I said, fine, let's see how it goes. Well, 6 months have passed, and it's safe to say it didn't work out. The account has like 200 followers, and she's yet to make a dime off of it in half a year. I've been working around 50 hours a week to pay our bills, loans, insurance, etc. I figured the least she could do was help pull her weight around the house, but she just leaves the trash and dirty clothes around. So, on my days off, I have to clean and do chores the entire time and pick up after her. I asked her nicely several times to at least clean up her messes, and she would always agree, but never do it. We were eating dinner a couple of nights ago, and I just laid it all out on the table. I explained I was frustrated that she wasn't helping out around the house, that she just quit her job out of nowhere, and that it made me sad because I felt like we both worked so hard to set ourselves up for success and to live a comfortable, good life, and that she's throwing it away over a hobby. I said I didn't want to work 50-hour weeks the rest of my life and mentioned that she would have to start at least working part-time or I was done with our relationship. She started sobbing, like full-on snot running out of her nose, and called me an idiot before storming off. She packed up and left the next day, saying she needed a week to think about things. She then stopped replying to my messages, so I texted her mom to see if she was okay, and she said she was and was staying at her house. I feel terrible because we rarely got into fights, but over the last 6 months, it just felt like I'm dating a different person. I'm not willing to accept this behavior any longer. She asked me to give it a chance. I did. It didn't work out. So now she has to reroute. According to her, though, I'm the idiot for being frustrated and for basically calling her a failure, which I never once said to her. All I want is for her to return to work. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend she needs to get a job so that we can start saving up for our future? Not the idiot. She's an adult, and it's not your responsibility to float her lifestyle. Relationships are partnerships, not caretakerships, LOL. Also, she could run the social media account while having a job. I've been trying to start a cooking Instagram and have a full-time job. Get out. You've done what you can, given her a chance to pursue her dreams, and now you're the sole breadwinner, working 50-hour weeks, and responsible for the domestic upkeep? Ask yourself this. What exactly is she bringing to the relationship? Anything? Other than just companionship and keeping you from being lonely. That's not enough for most people. So you're not a jerk by realizing that you want more from a partner. The fact that 6 months in, you calmly laid this out, and she reacted the way she did, tells me you need to leave. Her reaction indicates one of two things. She's highly manipulative and trying to screw with your head to just get you to back off. Or she's actually nuts enough to think that being a complete freeloader on you is acceptable and there's nothing wrong with it. In either case, I don't see how this works out positively for you. By the way, is her business just an MLM scheme? Because that's exactly what it sounds like. Hardly anyone in those silly programs actually makes a living doing it. And coincidentally enough, the ones who do tend to be accomplished snake oil saleswomen. Box her crap and have it ready to move. You deserve better and someone that values you and your time. I, 38 male, have a daughter, tween. She's a really nice girl, but always acted a little repulsed by boys. She's friends with one boy. However, that boy is the only boy in her friend group. She would always say things like the boys in her class were dirty. School is out right now, but will be starting next month, and I was talking to her about whether she's looking forward to going back. She said she likes her teacher in class, but prefers summer, and claimed the boys made fun of her and that it made her sad. I've always tried to teach her to look out for bias in case she only notices it when the boys do dirty things and ignores it when the girls do them. I was obviously concerned and asked her if she had ever told her teacher about it, and she said no, because it happens when teachers aren't looking, and she doesn't want to get in trouble for lying. So I asked her follow-up questions about what they did, and she mentioned many things like putting snot in her hair and mocking how she dresses. She likes girly clothes, but I'm sure many other girls in her class do that too. This seemed almost outrageous, and I know kids like to omit the other side of the story. So given her views on boys, I suspected she was also making fun of them. I asked her if she had done anything to them first, and she denied it and asked if she was sure they were really being mean or just having some fun and being friendly. She got upset, ran off, and accused me of not believing her. And now I feel like an idiot. I never said I didn't believe her. I just wanted to be sure and try to gather the other side of the story, since I assumed there was a reason she wouldn't tell her teachers. She's never come back with bruises or anything, but sometimes has come back with footprints on her dress, which I just assumed were from play, and once she had gum and glue in her hair. My wife is also upset with me and wants to speak to the school, but I don't want to embarrass myself in case she started it or something. You are the idiot. You asked if she did something first. You don't believe her, and you think she deserved it. You need to apologize and get with the school. Because of people like you, victims don't come forward more often. It's the bullying equivalent of, well, what was she wearing? Maybe they were having fun and being friendly? I can't believe you said this to your own child. Sounds like you bullied girls in school and can't take responsibility for what you did, even as an adult. So you have to be on the side of the bullies. Are you really such a misogynist that your first reaction to your daughter saying she's being bullied is to worry about the boys? Do you dislike your own child? What is wrong with you? The boys are the biggest idiots around this age, way worse than when we were growing up. And my daughter dealt with more crap from middle school boys than she ever did the girls. You don't want to embarrass yourself? Well, that ship has sailed. You should be devastated at how little you care to defend your own child. This was your opportunity to give her a safe space and support. Fix it. I regularly eat with a group of friends, and invariably, someone forgets their wallet, so we cover them and they pay us back. The last few times I've paid for the person that forgot, and it took me a couple of weeks to collect. Not a big deal, but annoying. So I brought cash for my meal and drinks this time. I always have the same thing, so I know how much my bill will be. When we were done, I put my cash on the table, and yep, someone forgot their share. Oopsie, they asked me to pay, and they'd get me back. I said I also forgot my wallet and only had cash, just enough to pay my bill. Someone else offered to pay, but it was clear that they wanted their money back that day. The person who forgot his card then remembered that he could pay with his phone. He approached me outside and said I embarrassed him by making him look like he was cheap or something. I said I wasn't responsible for paying his tab. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Gee, I just remembered. He could pay with his phone. Wow. He was the idiot for expecting anyone else to cover him. He showed himself to be a mega idiot for then berating you about it. Good for you for bringing cash and standing up for yourself. Wait, what? He approached me outside and said I embarrassed him. LOL, yes, you embarrassed him by letting him make it abundantly clear that he's cheap. Your friend is expecting you to be his personal ATM. Yeah, you're not your friend's bank. Also, I've been out with my friend group for around 15 years, and nobody once claimed they didn't bring a way to pay. If you go out, at some point, you'll likely have to pay something. Routinely forgetting to bring payment is inconsiderate and disrespectful towards the friends you went out with. And yes, once or twice I could overlook it, but after that, I feel quite a bit disrespected. It also blows my mind that someone regularly forgets their wallet in a group of adults. Y'all need to grow up if it's frequent and more than one person does it. Well played, OP. The only people I've ever known who habitually forget their wallets are either cheapskates or were trying to hide that they don't have enough money at the time. It's never an honest circumstance. You should bring cash more often. I, female 32, was on vacation with my husband and his family for 5 days to another state. I'm not too fond of his family due to their intrusive, pushy nature, but I decided to go since he insisted. I brought my video camera to capture moments with him and our toddler daughter. His family and his mom started complaining about not being included in the videos we recorded, but I had already told them I wanted this to be a project for our small family, me, him, and our daughter. He told me that this wasn't right, and that his family, his mom especially, felt disrespected by me, continually excluding them from all my videos. He suggested I take a video or two of them to keep the peace. Well, I told him this would cost me money, but he still said okay and took 2 videos, 8 minutes long, of his mom, sister, her kids, husband, and the others. Apparently that was still not enough, as his mom wanted to be present in every video I took with my daughter. I was getting frustrated, honestly. We got on a boat for a short tour, and his mom saw me recording my daughter and demanded I record her, but I politely declined. She threw a fit and told my husband, who gave me a horrible stare, and then demanded that I include his mom in the entire video, but I refused. He suddenly took the camera out of my hand and threw it into the sea. I verbally gasped and then looked at him, and he sat back down nonchalantly, telling me I only got myself to blame for this. I was boiling inside. I looked over and I swear I saw his mom smirking. I argued with him, telling him in front of his family that I was expecting and then demanding him to replace this expensive camera of mine, and the tour was cut short. His family said I once again ruined their trip after I packed my stuff and said I wanted to go home with my daughter. His mom remained calm while his dad defended him, saying that his son was pushed by me and acted out of frustration, and that it was unrealistic of me to expect him to pay that much on something as unimportant as a camera. We went home and the fight continued. Now we're not speaking, but he keeps saying that I should have included his mom in the video and that I was no saint in this situation and shouldn't play victim, much less demand anything from him. But I just wanted to make some memories with my daughter. Was I wrong to demand him to pay for a replacement? Not the idiot. He owes you a replacement camera, and you owe yourself a replacement husband. Please, OP, be careful. The fact you even think you may be an idiot is really worrying. He stole from you, and he's not even remorseful. He almost threatened you. He's manipulating you and straight up told you you had it coming, and you weren't a victim. That screams abusive behavior. OP, to be clear, you don't have an in-law or a mother-in-law problem. You have a husband problem. He went scorched earth when he threw the camera overboard. He was willing to throw away memories of your daughter, your shared daughter, if it meant spiting you and pleasing mommy. He would have benefited from the video and had a token to remember your child by, and yet he chose to yeet the crap into the sea. He cut off the nose to spite your collective face as parents, and somehow you think you're the bad guy here? This behavior on your husband's part is concerning. If he throws an expensive camera out of frustration over something as small as his mom not being included in a video, what's to stop him from escalating to a dangerous level over something that matters big time? How long till he throws something special to his daughter away because he disapproves? OP, your husband is gaslighting you. I've heard men use the same excuse for hitting their wives. I hit you because you misbehaved. Get out of there now. Who knows what this man could and would do in regards to his anger? I am mother-in-law. I don't have any problems with my daughter-in-law. I don't expect them to take my picture or accommodate me in any way. Anything I can do to work with them is good. I think this woman has been playing you a long time. Next time you're around them, just sit back and watch the show. You will see things you never saw before. I officially tied the knot last week. Not sure how, but I convinced the coolest guy in the world that I'm tolerable enough to tie down for life. Super shocking. Thankfully, everyone accommodated that we didn't want children present at our ceremony or reception. The thing that did receive some pushback was our request that unless you were explicitly invited to stay, everyone needed to be out at the reception venue by 7 p.m. Those asked to stay mainly were mine and my husband's friends. As much as I love my parents, siblings, and new in-laws, I did want to partake in a few adult substances and wasn't interested in them bearing witness to other things getting passed around. We had been with them all day and would be seeing them the next morning, as all of us were staying at a place nearby and had plans to grab breakfast together, so I didn't see it as a problem. At that point, I had already had a few drinks, so after some back and forth about whether they really had to head out, I basically said something to the effect of, If you wouldn't feel comfortable spending the night with us at a gay bar, you should probably leave. The space cleared out quickly after that, and we did our thing with our friends. It was a wonderful end to a wonderful night. However, my dad didn't show up for breakfast the following day, and my sister told me my mom and my mother-in-law weren't happy with my comments. Am I the idiot? Edit. To answer some questions, yes, it was put on the invitations that the reception ended at a particular time. There was no kicking anyone out. The event just ended, and the after party continued. My friend owns the reception venue we used. Attention, please. We asked a group of you to stay here with us to celebrate, but the rest of you need to leave now. Thanks for coming, though. And you don't think the message should offend? LOL, you are the idiot. Agree. I would have no issues if you entered the reception at 7 p.m. and then you and your friends went and did something together that's separate from the reception. But dividing your reception guests into an A-list and B-list and telling the B-list people they have to leave at 7 p.m. before the party is over is rude. It's incredibly awful that both sets of your parents were on the B-list. You kicked your parents out of your reception. This is incredibly tacky. The wedding reception is for all guests as a thank you for their love and attendance. You got pushed back because you decided that getting high with your friends was more important than showing your love and appreciation for those who attended your wedding. Your dad was right not to attend. Quite frankly, the entire group should have refused to attend once it was made clear that despite being your family, they were the D-list invitees. If you want a wild after party, it is polite to do it at another venue, preferably on a different day, without making a big thing of it. But you need to end the wedding event first. So I and my 3 siblings and 9 cousins have a grandpa that's not really around for most of us. Around 10 years ago, he decided he only wanted to spend time with 2 specific grandkids, the children of his favorite daughter. So he doesn't speak to the rest of us unless we're at an event. And even then he barely says anything. The last time we saw him was at a wrestling tournament. He watched my cousin and left as soon as my brother's name was called for his match. So it feels pretty deliberate that he doesn't talk to us. For reference, I'm the oldest grandchild at 20. The rest are between 5 and 17. Anyways, my brother had this idea that the next time we saw him at an event, we should just act like we don't know him. He never remembers who we are anyways, and I thought it would be funny. So last week was one of my cousin's birthdays, one of the cousins he likes, and he was there. He didn't interact with us for most of the party, but towards the end of it, he came up to my sister and me and said hello. I said, "Oh, hey, you're ex's grandpa, right? It's so nice to meet you." He looked confused and said, "Well, yes, but aren't you wise kids?" I responded with, "We are. Are you related to her or something? You look kind of like our grandpa, but he hasn't spoken to us in years." He was visibly angry and called me disrespectful before stomping off. Most of the family thinks what I said was funny and not a huge deal, but his wife and the parents of my cousins, his faves, are super angry with me. His wife told me this would ensure he never speaks to us again. Fine by me, LOL. I don't care that he's mad at me, but was this a big idiot thing to do? I thought it was pretty tame as far as jokes go, but people clearly disagree with me. No one noticed how he asked if they were wise kids. Like, he has to almost verify he was talking to who he thought he was first? What does that say? Not the idiot OP. Disrespectful? Maybe, LOL. But he already acts like the rest of you are strangers to him. He got a taste of his medicine and now he's upset? He can't have it both ways. Playing favorites sucks, whether you're a parent or a grandparent, and he's done both. No one's ever called him out on the damage he's done until now. Good for you. In a twisted way, it was funny. Screw him, you lost nothing. You reap what you sow. That's what the unknown man got. You'll notice it's only folks getting special treatment who are saying otherwise within your family. That's because you're not doing anything wrong, but they need to defend him to preserve their relationships with him. I have 2 biological children with my ex-wife, one of which is Sarah, teen. I also have 3 stepchildren. One is also a girl named Emerson, an older teen. They both have birthdays within a month of each other. Sarah's just starting her first year of high school and wants to get a laptop to do schoolwork at home. She's also into gaming, and she'll frequently tell me about her builds on Roblox. She wanted to get a pretty pricey gaming laptop, claiming it would be a good investment for school and her hobbies. My ex-wife called me asking if I'd like to put forward $300 to buy her the laptop and make it a gift from me, her, and her grandparents. I agreed since I know she's very passionate about her games, which would be suitable for her homework. I told her I needed to wait for my paycheck on the 12th and that I would pay her back then. So she bought the laptop and gifted it to Sarah on the 9th. She was ecstatic, and I could tell she would really enjoy it. After the party, Emerson said, "Speaking of birthdays," and then told me about how she wanted to go on a trip to New York with her friend. I told her 2.5 weeks is very short notice, considering we'd have to pay for me, her mother, her friend, her, and potentially even her siblings if my mother can't take care of them for that week. She began to tear up, and my girlfriend shot me a glare. We had a bit of a heated argument when we got home, and I surrendered and agreed to work it out. I told my ex the following night I could not give my portion of the gift because I needed to deal with this birthday. She exploded, saying she needed that money to make ends meet and for groceries, and that she'd have to return the laptop and buy a cheaper one since she maxed out her credit card to buy it beforehand. I told her it was irresponsible for her to do that, and it was part of why our relationship didn't work out, financial irresponsibility, and I would pay her back in 1 to 2 months. She said it would be my fault that Sarah would be heartbroken. It was my weekend to see her, but she refused. She said she was sick with the flu but couldn't prove it, and my daughter confirmed she was at school the following Monday. I just thought my ex would understand my obligations in my current relationship, but she claims I'm the idiot. Is this a case of my wife making an issue out of nothing? Edit. I called them my stepchildren just to make it easier. We've been dating for a month since her late husband passed earlier this July. They're not technically my stepkids, but I feel we are family. You are the idiot. I told her I needed to wait for my paycheck on the 12th and that I would pay her back then. So she bought the laptop and gifted it to Sarah on the 9th. This is not financial irresponsibility. You told her you would pay her back on the 12th, period. OP, you're a father who prefers to keep peace at home with your girlfriend and stepdaughter rather than honor your part in your daughter's gift. I just thought my ex-wife would understand my obligations in my current relationship. What about your obligations with your daughter? Don't be surprised if she becomes distant. She knows where your priorities are, and they're not towards her. Yeah, he's shown his daughter that he's willing to go back on his word, prioritize someone else's child over his own, and cause financial hardship for his ex. I don't think he realizes that the $300 he took back probably cost him his relationship with his daughter. Not to mention that his daughter also already got her gift and was told it was from him. So not only is he going back on his word, he's getting credit for a gift he didn't even contribute to. All for a child of a girlfriend he's dated for 2 months. Geez. You can't afford $300 for your daughter, but you can afford to pay for a trip for 6 people? What is wrong with you? Why is your girlfriend's daughter's request for an expensive trip that you clearly cannot afford more important than your commitment to your daughter? Be prepared for your daughter not to forgive or forget this. She's already refusing to see you and can clearly see you prioritizing other children over her. Sort yourself out and pay your ex the money you promised for your child's gift. Growing up, my family and I were all fat. They never taught me about good nutrition and portion sizes. The only exercise I got was in gym class. So of course I was used to all this, right? Especially since a lot of my friends were the same. When I went to college, I was exposed to many new things, and I learned quickly that my family's habits weren't healthy. For years, they always said the weight was genetic. Then when I'd go to lunch with my friend group in the dining hall, I noticed that my portion sizes were huge against theirs. So I cut down my portions, and I joined them doing yoga and stuff. Naturally, I ended up losing some weight, like size 22 to tight size 12. I really like the way I look. You can see my collarbones. But I ended up having to go back home during summer break, and I've been surprised at just how different I feel with my family. When we ordered pizzas 2 years ago, we'd get our own, and it would be gone that night. So we had pizza night when I got home, and I ate 2 slices and that was it. Last week, my mom made her special lasagna, and I made a salad to go with it. She always plates the meals and then sets the big dish in the middle so we can have more. Well, the piece she gave me was way too big, so I cut it in half and I served myself more salad. My sister immediately got on my case about how rude that was to Mom because she had worked hard on the lasagna. I said I couldn't eat that much food in one sitting, and she scoffed and said that it didn't used to be a problem. I said yes, but things have changed a little, if you can't tell. She got in my face and said that I brought my college BS home with me, and I should have left it at the door and ate like a normal person. I told her that I was eating like a normal person, that everyone I knew at school eats like this, and that we were the abnormality. It's not normal to be so stuffed at the table that you're in pain. My brother chimed in saying I'd just gained the weight back, so stop pretending I'm better than them. But I don't think I am at all. I'm no better than anyone. But I also don't think I'm wrong for sticking to smaller portions instead of being stuffed all the time. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Well done you for learning new healthier habits. It's not an easy thing to do, so kudos. It doesn't sound like you made a big deal out of it either. If you had a go at your mom or something, that wouldn't be okay. But you just gave yourself a smaller portion. Perfectly reasonable to my mind. I'm sorry your family isn't happy for you about the changes you've been able to put in place. It sounds like maybe your siblings are a bit jealous of what you've been able to achieve. There's nothing disrespectful about eating less than the portion you're given, especially when you're not consulted about what kind of size portion you want before being served. However, being forced to or expected to clean your plate because someone else cooked is one of the many unhealthy habits that some adults enforce on children, and it's even worse when the portions they're forcing are bigger than necessary. A whole pizza per person is entirely ridiculous. Everyone's entitled to decide what or how much to eat, but your family's habits are unhealthy. You weren't trying to show off the changes in your eating habits. You were choosing how much to eat from what is at the table. You're perfectly entitled to do that. Your sister and brother are simply threatened by your weight loss and overall lifestyle changes, and they're picking petty fights to put you down. Deep down, they know they're being unhealthy, but are unwilling to change. This is why your new eating style is triggering for them. I'm happy for you that you're taking care of yourself. Ignore them and keep doing you.